1, 2, test 1, 2.
Good evening, everyone. Leading our procession this evening is bagpiper Stephen M. Small Sr. Following him are the color guard from the Providence Police Department and Providence Fire Department. Also entering, we have Chiefs Michael Bates and Kevin Dolan from the Providence Fire Department. Representing Ward 14, Councilor David Salvatore. Ward 8, Majority Leader James Taylor. Ward 6, Councilman Michael Correa. Ward 1, Councilman John Gonsalves. Ward 5, Councilwoman Joanne Ryan. Ward 11, Deputy Majority Leader Mary Kay Harris. Ward 10, Council President Pro Tempore Espinal. Ward 2, Councilwoman Helen Anthony. Ward 12, Councilor Catherine Kerwin. Ward 9, Majority Whip Carmen Castillo. And representing Ward 7, Council President John Igliozzi.
Thank you and good evening. Welcome this evening. You can all sit down for a moment. Madam Clerk, shall we call this meeting to order first? Madam Clerk, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Council President Igliozzi.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony. Majority Whip Castillo. Councilman Correa. Council President Pro Tempore Espinal.
Present.
Councilman Gonsalves. Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Present.
Councilor Kerwin.
Present.
Councilwoman LaFortune is absent. Councilor Miller.
Present.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci is absent. Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Salvatore.
Present.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Present.
You have 12 present and 2 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The first item is the invocation. We are honored this evening to have Reverend Nathan Ritchie, the Vice Chancellor, Formation Advisor at Our Lady of Providence Seminary, and Administrative Assistant to Bishop Tobin. Reverend Ritchie, please take the podium.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for showering your blessings upon this, our beloved nation, state, and capital city, which bears the title Providence, named after your watchful and powerful care. Bless all here present and all across this capital city who work tirelessly each day for justice and peace. We thank you for the gift of life and liberty. Make us grateful for those who have given their lives and paid the ultimate price defending our freedom. As we celebrate Independence Day, we too give you thanks for all our women and men in uniform who give everything so that all Americans can live freely in the pursuit of happiness. We pray, good and gracious God, that truth, goodness, and beauty might shine brightly here in this city, eradicating the darkness of injustice, bigotry, lies, and hatred that threatens the common good. God of power and might, we ask your assistance upon those who govern us, especially the members of this city council. Help them in their desire to be wise, prudent, and just for the good of all Providence. Most of all, Almighty God, we thank you for the great gift of this city. May it shine brightly before all and witness the joy that comes from you alone, for you live and reign forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Next item, item number 2, is the Pledge of Allegiance, in which Mr. Peter Ritchie will lead, hopefully, and his family will lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Ritchie? Philip, could you escort him, please? Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Next, we will have the National Anthem sung by, I'm looking for the young lady's name, Andrea Cruz. Is Andrea Cruz present? Andrea is a senior at E3 Academy High School. Welcome, Andrea. You have the mic, and God bless.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I'm going to do a welcome, right? You acknowledge me. I do my welcome.
Okay. Mr. President, I'd like the record to reflect that Councilwoman LaFortune has joined the meeting.
Duly noted. Councilman LaFortune, welcome. And more importantly, welcome to all my colleagues. Please sit. to our constituents, to our friends, our loved ones. It's a great day. We made it. The last time we were in this august hall here was over a year ago. We didn't think we'd ever come back, but we are. I want to recognize also, we have every fortune today to have our new governor, Governor McKee, with us. We have Mayor Alorza with us. And I am someone impartial, but Mayor Joseph Paolino. I want to thank you all for coming. You know, this is the first in-person city council meeting in a very long time. 16 months. It's a long time. And all of us have gone through an awful lot. We saw family and friends struggle during this crisis. Some of us lost loved ones. Some of us got sick, rebound, and get healthy. But it was important that we together, we strive, we grow, and we stay healthy together. We should always take a moment to reflect on the people that we lost during this horrible time, but to rejoice in life and the life they led. Tonight is a cause for celebration. And tonight we will also be celebrating the spirit of America, as you can tell by the bunting and the flags. Sometimes something that some of us forget, why we are here and how we all got here. Also, I want to also point out above the city council, the dais over there. The city of Providence has many seals, right? But I don't know, most people don't know, the city council actually has its own seal many decades ago. And that seal represents the guiding principles of what the city council is about. It's about being industrious, being watchful, and promoting peace. As you see up there, the three animals, and you say, what are those about? Well, way back when our founding folks of Providence City Council came together and said, we're going to create a seal. The bee represents the colloquial expression to be busy as a bee, to be industrious. Also dates back to Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales. The goose represents to be watchful. On the gates of Rome, the Roman gods, centurions, would have geese with them as their watchdogs to protect Rome. And the lamb is obvious, peace, to promote peace. The city council, during these three processes, when it comes to being industrious, and I ask you to look out the window when you drive downtown. I've been lucky to be part of numerous councils and my great council members here today, in which we helped build this great city. We were industrious by cutting the ribbon at the Providence Place Mall, the Water Place Park, and cutting numerous ribbons of tax stabilizations and all that new skyline you see over here. That is the work of the industrious work of the Providence City Council. And you all should be proud of yourself. As for the goose, the council, one of its other charges is to be watchful. It's supposed to be watchful of the treasury, of the people's money. It's not our money. It's not our money to do what we think. It's the people's money, and they entrust us to be the stewards of that treasury, to use it in the best efficient manner to promote goodwill for everybody in the city of Providence. And of course, the peace, the lamb. City council is always a mediator, as a lawmaker, as an arbitrator, and one of our jobs is always to bring parties together, to find the common ground, secure a better society in a peaceful way. So the council's main purpose is to be industrious, to be watchful, and to promote peace. So, as we gather here anew, we look to work ahead of using these guiding principles. We also want to reflect on how the world has changed since March 2020. When COVID-19 pandemic forced us to isolate from one another, each of us learned more about our communities and ourselves. Although we couldn't be physically together, we found new ways to communicate, to connect. We checked on our neighborhoods, on our neighbors. We went shopping for them who could not. We brought medicine to them who were sick. And of course, legislative and decision-making bodies across the globe shifted to public meetings online. I'm happy to say this evening, the City Council is doing a first. Not only are we doing a live in-person meeting, but we are also streaming live on the internet. And we will continue to do that to promote transparency and access to the people that we represent. It's especially important about access and transparency and promoting those purposes I just mentioned. So we head into the 4th of July celebration, that we recognize that special character, what we in this country often refer to as the American spirit. Some of us take it for granted. It's a punchline sometimes. They think it's a silly concoction, but it's not. It means something. It means something to me, and I'm sure it means something to all of you. Tonight, we're going to celebrate that American spirit. 3 individuals we're going to acknowledge this evening. We have 2 individuals who ran into a burning building to save a family. And we have 1 individual who fought the enemy in the Pacific to help save the world. We're going to acknowledge that American spirit in those individuals this evening as we acknowledge this great country's birthday. As the same spirit and determination exemplified by these individuals, that will be the guiding force for my colleagues in government as we work together for our residents, our business communities, our constituents, our friends and loved ones, to lead Providence back to a healthier, safer, and thriving city. Now, we're very fortunate this evening, and my great honor, to introduce a gentleman who has been in public service for many years, a lifelong Rhode Islander. He started like us. He was a councilman. Then he became the mayor. Then he became a lieutenant governor. And now he's the governor of this great state called Rhode Island. And to introduce Governor McKee.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I'm happy to be here wearing my boutonniere, celebrating this very important event called democracy, and mixing in July 4th with having members of our city council here at the same moment in time is very appropriate, because that declaration that was made back in 1776 about the fact that all men are created equal. They're endowed with the inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then bringing it full circle here to 2021, after the last experience that we all have shared during this COVID and during this time frame, where discipline was very important. And the fact that a community's business needs to continue. And so congratulations to each and every person here that's on a member of the city council for doing just that, doing the people's business. And so I'm happy to be here today. Congratulate all the leadership along with the mayor and our first responders, and a pledge that says that we know that Providence is an important community. Yes, I was a town council member, Yes, I was a mayor, a lieutenant governor, and now sitting in the governor's office. But we know that Providence is important, and we know the economic recovery for Providence is an important piece to the state's recovery. So when we dismantle the convention center from the field hospital so that we can get that going, and there's going to be conventions here in August, that's going to help our economy because it's going to help the city of Providence. And it's going to help exactly what you've been doing for the last year plus. You've been managing the community from your seats from a distance, right? Virtually. Who would ever thought that could be possible? And finally, so we're going to do everything we can for the economy to recover. Just as a point, we are being recognized as leading the recovery in the country, about 4th or 5th in the country, #1 in the Northeast, a GDP that's growing faster than predicted. But in order to keep that going, we need to do special things, and we need to step up in the city of Providence and all 39 cities in the state of Rhode Island. I've always said that every community is important, and the people who live in the communities are important. And the communities that make up the communities are critical for the success of our state. When I was sworn in, there was one line by the poet laureate that I really thought was pretty special. In fact, I pulled the poet afterwards and I said, geez, could you send me that poem that you wrote? And not only did she send me a poem, but she actually framed the line that I thought was something that I could never really express in words, but I thought she did. And she called this experience of ours, this perfect imperfection. This perfect imperfection. And we always strive for that perfection. And we know that we got to continue to improve on that task that we have been handed down by our forefathers, and now today to strive for that perfect imperfection. Thank you so much for having me here tonight, and congratulations on being back in the chambers.
Next up is our partner in government. He's an individual who won almost, 7 years ago now, Mayor? So he's been mayor of this great city. He's been a steward, he's been a partner, and he has been a leader. Mayor Jorge Alorza.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and I got to start off by saying that, man, does it feel good to be here in person once again. I know it's been a long time, and I know it's been a really difficult time over the past 15, 16 months, but we've persevered through this, and I have no doubt that we can persevere through whatever comes our way in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. So I was walking in, it dawned on me that President Igliozzi, this is your first meeting in person with you sitting in the dais as president. So truly what we're doing here today, more than anything else, is celebrating the people of Providence. And I want to ask everyone to please join me in recognizing the president of the Providence City Council sitting in the dais for the very first time in person, President John Igliozzi, even if you're not sitting on the dais.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a big deal, President, and we're all honored to be here celebrating this moment with you, with the residents of the city of Providence. Now, we're here to celebrate our people. I want to thank the entire city clerk's department who worked around the clock to support all of our teams, to host remote meetings, and many departments doing this for the very first time ever. Sean Selleck, who led the effort, Tina, Sherry, Angela, Jennifer, Donna, Jasenia, Lauren, Marcia, and Julie, you've done an excellent job throughout these entire past 15 months. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to you, and we salute you. And over the past 15 months, the last thing that happened was the world stopping. If anything, the world sped up. All of our employees throughout the city, in the building and outside, have been forced to do double duty, have been forced to go an extra mile, and have been forced to adjust to the new circumstances. And everyone stepped up and did it with aplomb. But there are a couple of folks that we're recognizing here today that stepped up beyond the call of duty and went through extra special lengths to show the world what that Providence grit, pride, and determination is all about. I am proud to be here to recognize David Dodie and Gary Krauss, two members of 1033, employees of our Parks Department, who just last month literally ran into a burning building to save the family inside, almost without paying any mind or any thought to the flames that were aflame, to the threat of bodily danger to themselves, but went into that building because it was the right thing to do. You truly are heroes in our community, and we are here to salute you. Can I please have a big round of applause for David and Gary? Heroes among us. And if y'all can just indulge me for just a second, I've gotten to know Gary over the years, and Gary will soon be retiring. Is that correct, Gary? Thank you for your honorable years of service to our city, and thank you for your guidance plowing the streets of the city of Providence. And I'm sorry if I almost killed you that night. But I also want to recognize David Dodie. David Dodie is being recognized today for running into a burning building to save a family. Well, you may not know, or you may know, that there is a such thing as a David Dodie Prize. The David Dodie Prize was created several years ago when David Dodie ran into a burning building to save the family inside. Just think about that. This man has done it twice and earned the peculiar distinction of winning the David Dodie Prize, a prize named after him the second time. But David, your efforts, your bravery are just exemplary, and you truly are a model for all of us in public service on what it takes in that moment and the decisions you make. It's truly inspiring. So thank you so much, David. And while we're on the topic of heroes, I want to recognize Peter Ritchie. Peter Ritchie, who led us through the Pledge of Allegiance, recently turned 101 years old. But that's not it. But that's not it. Please remain standing for just a second. Peter holds the incredible honor of being a World War II veteran who served our country overseas with great pride and distinction. Peter, we thank you for your service. We thank your family for your service, and we are truly indebted to you. Thank you, Peter. I was watching a TV show once, and they were interviewing a woman who had just turned 105 years old. And the newscaster turned to her and said, "What is the secret?" She said, "Mind your business." So I'm not sure if that was the secret or she was just telling the reporter to mind her business. But thank you for joining us and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And certainly last but not least, I also want to recognize two special people who have given their life in service to our city of Providence. Two majors in our police department that have recently announced that they're moving on and taking all of the skills, talent, and experience that they've developed over years here in Providence to other pursuits. We're deeply, deeply indebted to Majors Coria and Lepre, who are retiring from our police department after serving us with great distinction and are off to lead and head in leadership roles, other police departments in the coming years. I also want to thank their wives, because you know that the commitment to service is a family commitment. And when one person serves, the entire family serves. So I ask the people of Providence to once again join me in recognizing Majors Coria and Lepre. We are so proud of all of our members going above and beyond in this coming year. And I think that perhaps the best fitting way to leave you this evening is to acknowledge that this coming weekend is 4th of July weekend. 4th of July is a reminder of what our country is about. It's a country of great hope. It's a country of the American dream. It's a country that promises that no matter who you are, what race, religion, country, gender, or sexual orientation you have, that everyone in this country should have the opportunity to achieve great things. That's what our country is about, and it would not be this way were it not for all of the amazing men and women who have served this country in our military and in public service, who have made it that way. I stand here as an example of the American dream and of what is possible because of the service of so others. I love this city. I love our city. Please stay safe this weekend, and I thank you all for your service. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, I'd like to recognize this evening, by the way, we also have a former councilman, former council president. He's a sitting representative, but he's also the former mayor of City of Providence, John Lombardi. Is he here, please? I saw him walk in. Also want to recognize former Councilman Patrick Butler, former Councilman Terrence Hassett, and former Councilman Thomas Glavin. I know they're here, they're being shy. I actually have the honor that I served with all of them, so that tells you how long I've been around. I also want to make a note, by the way, to acknowledge Judge Capio, Chief Judge, Judge McKernan, Judge Bartolotti, and our probate judge, John Martinelli. And I also be remiss not to mention, I believe this is one council person's first actually in person in this chamber meeting. So this is all maybe old hat for us, but Councilman John Goncalves is his first meeting in the. Now, the next person who is going to say a few words, and I said, actually, I've known him for a long time, since I was young. And he's an individual, has an impressive career. He was also a councilman. He was also the council president. He also was this mayor of the city of Providence. And he also became a United States ambassador. I'm fortunate to have and be able to call him my friend, Joseph Paolino.
Mr. President, thank you very much. And listening and watching tonight, your beautiful festivities, I'm thinking about how it's been over a year for you to be here. I haven't been here in 30 years. So you're doing much better than I did. But being a member of the city council, I can tell you that some of the greatest and best friendships I have made in my entire life came on this floor. We would debate, we would argue, we would disagree. We walked out of those chambers, we had a beer, we sat down, we collaborated, and we talked about the love that we all had for the city, about trying to make our neighborhoods better. And today we are in a whole different political environment. We've seen it in Washington, we've seen it everywhere, where division seems to be the thing that people thrive on in politics today. It's not how it should be. People should get along. Even if we disagree, doesn't mean that we're wrong. It just means we have a different way of trying to solve a problem, but doesn't mean you're wrong. And when you honor tonight people like Peter Ritchie, and you honor David Dodie and Gary Krauss and the two majors that are going to be retiring, and Bill Bombard, who's probably one of the best civil engineers, city engineers the city has ever had. That's what collaboration and working together is all about, because you recognize how important these people are that make Providence a great city. John, I've known him since he was a young boy. His mother and father would be very proud of him. I wish they were here to see what you have accomplished, but you have accomplished it because of your friendships you have in this city council and because of the leadership you have shown over the years as being the longest serving member of the city council. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that we have a weekend coming in front of us, the 4th of July. Every councilman and council lady, I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be patrolling your neighborhoods. You're going to have your cell phones on. You're going to make sure that your neighborhoods are celebrating something great, but also being safe. And that's what we need to do. We got to make Providence not only America's best city, but America's safest city. And it's in all of your hands as elected officials, and it's in also with us as being your citizens. So with that, Mayor Elorza, I want to thank you for your comments today and for having me here in your building. Governor, all of our buildings are yours. And to John Nigliosi and to all the members of the City Council, God bless all of you and good luck and Godspeed. Thank you very much.
We do actually have one special surprise, actually, for my good friend I just mentioned a second ago. I actually have here Joseph Paolino. The Honorable Joseph R. Paolino. It references his years as a councilman in Ward 13, Councilman Miller's ward now, and former council president and mayor, Representative Lombardi's ward. He was also the council president and also mayor and the United States ambassador to Malta. Thanks, John. On behalf of the City Council, we want to
Thank you.
acknowledge your dedication to the city. Also want to acknowledge we have in the audience, we have Commissioner Parry. Please stand up. Thank you. We have Chief Clements. Please stand up. We have Commander Verdi. Please stand up. Could you three gentlemen stand together for a moment? I just want to say on behalf of my constituents, it's been a rough year, but I want to thank you gentlemen for making my neighborhood, my constituents safe and healthy, and keep protecting it in the best possible way to provide a great police force called the City of Providence Police Department. Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, the next item on the docket.
Item number 3, presentation of resolutions. Council President Igliozzi. Resolution in honor and celebration of Independence Day.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to approve on a voice vote and read into the record.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk?
Before I read, are there any additional co-sponsors to this matter?
I think it's fair to say the entire council would co-sponsor the matter. Is that fair?
So noted, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, please read into the record.
Whereas Independence Day is the federal holiday celebrated annually on July 4th to commemorate the signing of the Declaration of Independence, in which America's 13 colonies first united in their belief that they could no longer be subjects of the King of England, but rather a free and independent nation. And whereas in the 245 years since the birth of our nation, America has been forced to overcome immense challenges, both domestically and internationally, that have helped to shape the very meaning of what it is to be a citizen of the United States. And whereas the outbreak of COVID-19 and the ensuing pandemic have been the latest test of the nation's character as it plunged the entire country into quarantine and isolation, with certain restrictions only just being lifted in the past few weeks due to the deployment of highly effective vaccines. And whereas, while COVID-19 has taken an immense toll on our country over the past 18 months, at times stretching our resources and communities to the breaking point, it has also affirmed the nation's incredible compassion, fortitude, and resiliency in the face of unprecedented hardship. And whereas this year's Independence Day celebration would not be possible without the tireless efforts of the healthcare workers, epidemiologists, researchers, and all frontline workers who persevered in the fight against COVID-19 in order to save the lives of countless individuals across the country and bought time for the development and deployment of vaccines that have made such a tremendous impact in bringing the pandemic under control. And whereas, with the City Council gathering for the first time in person since the outbreak of the pandemic, it is only appropriate that we take the time to properly celebrate the independence of our country, our state, and our local communities as we finally begin to heal from the losses and devastation from the past 18 months and look toward health and prosperity for our city, our nation, and our citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby celebrates this year's Independence Day in honor of all the frontline workers who sacrificed so much in order to save countless lives, helped to prevent the further spread of COVID-19, and kept our grocery stores, pharmacies, and other essential services open. Be it further resolved that the Providence City Council wishes the entire Providence community and all residents of the state of Rhode Island a very happy Independence Day and encourages safe celebrations this holiday weekend.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Miller.
Mr. President, I'd like to rise as a point of personal privilege.
Of course. Councilwoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to gather in person together today. It's deeply meaningful for many of us, and there's a lot to celebrate, being able to be here together. But as we're here tonight, Mr. Governor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, I have to say this afternoon, as we're getting ready to celebrate freedom, freedom not just for the 4th of July, but freedom from this lockdown and many things we've been facing over the last year. This afternoon I was on Sales Street and I heard from a family that does not feel free today, that feels instead terrorized, that feels assaulted by public servants who work for this city. And so, I just am asking all of us as we're here today that we keep in mind that just 2 days ago, the Providence police assaulted and pepper sprayed a child as young as 1 year old, a child who had been undergoing cancer treatment, who is 14, that there was a child who held his brother in his arms to protect him from the people who are sworn to protect and serve this city. I was there this afternoon. I heard from the family. I saw the terror and pain on their faces, and I cannot be here tonight celebrating freedom without recognizing, as many people, many better people than me have said before, that none of us are free until we're all free, that we cannot move forward tonight without recognizing what happened, and we have to work together to call for accountability to what happened on Tuesday. We cannot let this family We cannot let the children of our city, we cannot let our city feel what they felt on Tuesday and not acknowledge it, not swiftly seek accountability, swiftly see the truth of the matter and act together. And so I thank you and I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Next,
Council President,
Councilman LaFortune,
I too would like to rise on a point of personal privilege as well.
you have the mic.
Thank you. So thank you. I'm very tall, so I'll sit down because I'll be too far from the microphone. So I first want to thank Councilwoman Miller for her words, for her powerful words. I truly appreciate it. As I was making my way here earlier, I was thinking about the families and the people who are on Sale Street who were impacted by this incident. And I was thinking about the video that I watched where a father who was watching his daughter get apprehended by the police, and he kept saying, she's not resisting, she's not resisting. And you could hear it in his voice. He wants to protect his child, but he also has to make choices because there are certain choices that if he makes, if he reacts, it might cost him his life. And so it's very difficult for us to, for me personally, to be here and to celebrate. And I recognize that we do have many heroes. We have some police officers who have done some amazing work in our city, who have made great contributions. But when we're seeing these types of incidents, when there is a lack of accountability, and we've been talking about accountability for quite some time, there was an opportunity for us to ensure that there was some sort of police reform that was established when we were in the midst of negotiating the contract. It was a missed opportunity. And so we can't continue year after year, days after days, months after months, talking about police reform, talking about accountability measures. It has to happen now. These kids are going to be traumatized for the rest of their life. And I've shared a personal story when I lived in Philadelphia. I'll never forget this. We were in our home. I was leaving to go to work, and we heard knocking on our door, and we weren't sure where it was coming from. And when I opened the back door, it was a police officer with his gun drawn. And they ended up coming into our house and, searching our home, and only to find out it was the wrong address. And I remember that very day I went to the police station because I did not want my son growing up to fear the police. I wanted him to be able to call the police if he was in trouble, that he knew that he was protected by the police. So if you have children who are in a neighborhood when there's a dispute between adults that could have been de-escalated and they're the ones who are being attacked, think about the long-term trauma. The long-term trauma. Asking for accountability does not mean we dislike the police, we hate the police. My great uncle was a police officer in Haiti. My cousin was at NYPD. My sister served in the military. It has nothing to do with disliking the police. It's called accountability because everyone deserves a quality of life. That could have been any one of our children, anyone. And so I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to see action. I want the mayor to hold our police department accountable. I want the chief. And Chief Clemens, I have so much respect for you. I do. I do. And I do, Commissioner, I have so much respect for you as well. But we can't continue in this direction. Something has to be done. So I do hope that this is a lesson and that this doesn't happen again in the future. And I also hope our governor puts measures in place so that we can hold police officers accountable across the board, whether you live in Providence, Johnston, Central Falls, North Providence, Woonsocket, wherever in the state of Providence. This has to stop. We're lucky none of those children lost their lives. I don't want to make national news. So I do hope that after today, we don't see these types of incidents, but there are accountability measures that are put in place. And we don't hear fathers pleading pleading to the police officers so that their child is not hurt. So thank you very much, Council President. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Chief, Commissioner, everyone for your service. I truly appreciate it. And I do hope that we all could work collaboratively to make our city safe for every single resident.
Thank you,
Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Kerwin.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Councilwoman Miller and Councilwoman LaFortune. I want to echo the words of Councilwoman LaFortune and Miller. I was also on Sales Street today, and there were dozens and dozens of community members there with tears in their eyes, listening to this family tell horrible stories that I won't repeat because there are videos that you can all go see that will break your heart. That will break your heart. What that family endured should not be happening anywhere, and it shouldn't be happening in our city. It is despicable, and it is not an isolated incident. It's not. We know this because of Sergeant Hanley. We know this because it has not been a one-time thing, and this family deserves better. Today, what they asked for is they asked for a public apology. That's it. Their kids, Councilwoman LaFortune is right, they could have lost their 5-year-old. The 9-year-old was unconscious, had to receive medical attention, was unconscious. They could have lost them, and they just want an apology. So I hope that after this celebration, we can come together and deliver more than that, because they deserve so much more than what they're asking for. They deserve real accountability. They deserve justice. And I know we're better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 4, resolution awarding Peter Ritchie the Municipal Medal for Deeds of Bravery.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to approve on a voice vote and read into the record.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please read the item into the record, please.
Whereas Peter Ritchie was born in Providence on May 14th, 1920, and was a longtime resident of the Silver Lake neighborhood. And whereas in December of 1943, Mr. Ritchie was drafted into the United States Navy, where he served as a motor machinist mate 3rd class aboard the USS Superior, a mine-sweeping vessel. And whereas during Mr. Ritchie's service aboard the USS Superior, he received several medals, including the World War II Victory Medal, the American Theater Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Theater Medal, 4 Bronze Stars, and the Minecraft Shoulder Insignia. And whereas Mr. Ritchie, along with the thousands of other Rhode Islanders who served in World War II, is a shining example of what it means to be an American and to answer the call to service for the country. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Providence hereby awards Mr. Peter Ritchie with the Municipal Medal for Deeds of Bravery for his exemplary service in the United States Navy. Be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution will be sent to the Mayor of Providence and Mr. Peter Ritchie.
Archivist Caleb Horton, could you please escort Mr. Ritchie? Will the Ritchie family please come up? Who would like to introduce your lovely wife, Mr. Ritchie? Who would like to introduce your lovely wife? How many years have you been married? 20. 20 years. He's a baby. 101 years old. Is this your family? Why don't you come forward and introduce yourself real quick? Folks from Civil Lake, my neck of the woods.
I was born and raised in Civil Lake.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie, for your service, your lovely family, and your wife.
Council President,
Who is? Oh, Councilman David Salvatore.
thank you, Council President. If there's no objection, I would like to be noted as a co-sponsor on item number 4.
Yes, I presume the whole council would. Madam Clerk, no? All in
So
favor? Aye, all opposed. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Presentation of awards and citations. The Municipal Medal for Deeds of Bravery will be awarded to David Dodie and Gary Krauss.
So why don't those two gentlemen come on up here? Let's just stand over here. So here's my story. When I first became a councilman a long time ago, a young man and his family came knocking on my door and asked if they could help. This young guy, he was an industrious young guy, hardworking, and he needed a helping hand. One of the first things I ever did as a council person was my honor and privilege to help David Dodie and his family become, by the way, what a great man he is today. I knew him as a young man. And I tell you, it's heartwarming. Another Silver Lakean, by the way, folks, I gotta tell you. Mr. Krauss, I've known, I think, for many years, unfortunately, a long time, but you're retiring before I am. So congratulations on that one. You better look. Madam Clerk, could you please read Mr. Krauss's resolution first?
Well, they're both. Whereas on Thursday, May 27th, a fire broke out in a house on the corner of Byfield and Ocean Streets, was engulfed in flames and smoke coming from the 3rd floor and attic. And whereas Providence Parks Department employees David Dodie and Gary Krauss witnessed the fire breaking out and immediately jumped into action. And whereas Mr. Dodie and Mr. Krauss rushed into the burning building with complete disregard for their own safety to make sure everyone in the building was able to escape the fire. And whereas the heroic actions of Mr. Dodie and Mr. Krauss
by taking quick and decisive action to ensure the safety of Providence residents exemplify the very best qualities that the city has to offer. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby awards Providence Parks Department employees David Dodie and Gary Krauss with the Municipal Medal of Bravery for risking their lives for the safety of others. Be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution will be sent to the Mayor of Providence, the Superintendent of Parks, David Dodie, and Gary Krauss.
To make a special notation. A municipal medal of bravery that I have in my hand, archivist Caleb Horton worked diligently with some of his friends in the arts world and had this handmade, cast, and created for this evening. So if anybody's got a chance to see it, you can see it on these brave men's necks in the next couple of minutes. So I want to give a thank you to Caleb and his friend, his artist friend who created these medals of bravery. Thank you. Oh, sure. Of course. Took me a long time to get up there, but it seems like it's easier to operate down here. So with that said, Madam Clerk, the next item on the docket, please.
Mr. President, City Council citations will be awarded to Major Michael Correa and Mr. William Bombard, if he's in attendance.
Are these gentlemen here?
He is, yes.
Once again, I've been very fortunate to know these two gentlemen for a couple of decades now, and you're retiring before me. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm happy for both of you. You guys have done a phenomenal service to the city of Providence. Bill, late night calls, Major, patrolling the neighborhoods and trying to keep our people safe. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. God bless you. Congratulations. Bill. Major. That's the end of the program this evening. But I want to make a note, by the way, that I want to, as we continue on our celebration of Independence Day in America, poignant, yes, issues, yes, but we still are the greatest nation in the world. We still have ability to evolve, grow, mature, to listen to each other. And one of the most important things, our freedom of speech. You heard it today on the floor. That is what it's about. If you're in Russia right now, or China, North Korea, or the laundry list of communist socialist countries, by the way, Hong Kong, where they are stamping out democracy, free speech, and freedoms for all. We may not be perfect, but we're on our way to becoming a better nation together. Before we adjourn, I also want to take a moment to thank the staff. A couple of weeks ago, just a little while ago, I was lucky to become elected the council president by these great people here. They gave me that great honor. And then we put together a new staff. We had people who we had new people come in. We had people who've been here for a long time. And I gave them a challenge. And the challenge was, 4th of July is coming. Let's get back into session. Councilman Goncalves needs to see these inside of these chambers. And let's have a celebration, just a renewed spirit of who we are. And I want to say, from the chief of staff to the deputy, to the clerk's office, Tina, the deputy clerk, the first clerk, the second clerk, all of them. And the mayor's right. I have to say, during COVID, there's one thing that was constantly consistent in the city council. During the whole crisis, the committees met, the public was involved, the council met, the public was involved. We kept on doing the people's business because of the folks in the city council office, the city clerk's office, and the staff that helps us every day, every hour, every minute. We need to give a real round of applause to them and thank them very much.
Mr. President, can we have them up front and get a picture with everybody?
Of course.
Can we have them all come up so they can see them?
Sure, we want to do
Because
it.
they're in the corner over here, so
Of course.
I'd like them to
Let
come
those
up
staff
and be
come
in
up.
front, including the clerk.
The majority leader wants them all up. Come on up.
Come on, staff. All the staff up front.
The majority leader wants to embarrass the staff, so bring them up.
No, I just want to recognize them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the city council staff and clerk's office right here. Thank you. Finally, I also have to do a special thanks to Governor McKee for spending his time with us this evening, Mayor Alorza, and Mayor Paolino. Thank you for your speeches and your inspiration and your leadership throughout the years. Thank you, gentlemen. Special thanks to all the recipients of the Medal of Bravery and their families, because we all know without your family, you won't have the support to be as brave as all of you are. Mr. Ritchie, I have to give an unbelievable thank you for you. My father's first cousin had two cousins storm the beaches of Normandy. One made it home, one didn't from Silver Lake. And I remember him talking about those acts of courage and bravery to make America what we are today. And I want to thank you, Mr. Ritchie, because you're one of the gentlemen that helped us stay where we are today and create this great democracy called America. Thank you, sir. And finally, we have refreshments and drinks and celebration in the Alderman's Chambers next door. We have birthday cakes for America and also for someone special in the audience. I invite everybody and family and friends to join us. With that, is there any more business before this honorable body?
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
motion to adjourn in memory of retired Deputy Assistant Chief from the Providence Fire Department, Paul A. Wentworth.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by the lovely Deputy Majority Leader, Mary Kay Harris, my good friend. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. God bless you all. Be well and be safe. See you next door. Thank you.